I'm eating cinnamon toast.
I've got popcorn, so nice. Welcome to another prequel session of the Redmoth. I'm here with Wayne. We'll be playing Torgrum, our big orc barbarian. And this game will be taking place on Grevda, where the party was their first job took them. So Torgrum, you're going to be playing. You're going to be doing a stint as a guard in one of the salt mines on Grevda, and we'll see what happens from here. So you're just kind of wandering about on a track, much like the one you see in my overlay. There's miners all over, some slaves, some being paid, although they're being paid so little they may as well be slaves. And they are all, including yourself, working for Slab. He's the enormous red orc that you guys met earlier. Here's a picture of him. He's the one you met earlier on.
Right.
And so you're wandering about, and why don't you just give us a quick refresher on exactly what Torgrum looks like?
Oh, okay. Torgrum is a half-orc, a barbarian. He started out as kind of like the 99-pound weakling, and after a year of training in muscle building, weapons craft, and other things and all that, came back a year later, and he ended up looking like the half-orc version of Charles Atlas.
Yeah.
After a confrontation with the despot tyrant that had taken over his town and his surrounding community and all that, he left the planet of Freck and kind of hobnobbed around the spaceways for a little bit and ended up here at Grevda, hired as a guard for Slap, is it?
Yeah, Slab.
S-L-A-B. A-B, Slab. Okay. And I guess pound for pound, they could both be equals in a sense, except for that Slab is pure orc, and Torgrum is half orc, which may or may not factor for or against him. It just depends. He wears, the typical clothing of that times, and he is cynical, but knows how to have a rip-roaring good time, especially after he's had a few drinks in him. As a matter of fact, it's the drink that gets him in trouble more than anything else.
Yeah, he's
but as a fighter and as a guard, hefting his great axe on his shoulder and his pistols and a striker, he's kind of amongst the miners he's guarding over.
Definitely. And speaking of those miners, as you're kind of doing the rounds, a frantic, small-looking man kind of runs up to you. He's one of the miners, a slave. He's a young man, late teens, early 20s, kind of wispy sort of start of a beard, covered in just dirt and grime and dust, and he's looking extremely frantic, and he says, Sir, there's a fight going on. Please, you have to stop it. They'll kill him."
All right. Well, it doesn't do good to have dead slaves working on the mine, so follow him.
Yeah. And yeah, he sort of scampers off ahead of you. And as you round the corner, you see a sort of circle of slaves, kind of in a ring. And from sort of deep within that kind of ring of slaves, you hear a sort of you hear the signs of a scuffle, scraping and punching, and the occasional squeal.
Okay. I'll wade through the circle to break it up and observe exactly what's going on.
Yeah, you're about probably a head taller than most of the other people there. You're just this enormous orc, and as they see you coming and they know who you are, they sort of begin to part. And in the center of this ring, you see a rather large man. He's a human, but he's big for a human. He's if you were a human, you'd be about the same size as him, but because you're an orc, you're a bit bigger and a bit thicker. And
yeah, 6 foot, you've got a big 6, 220 pounds. Yeah, that's formidable.
Yeah, and he's he'd probably be 6'3", and sort of equivalently large for his species, shall we say?
Right.
And you see him. He's got pinned down with one leg and one arm. This probably 16-year-old boy, and he's just pounding his face, just over and over again. Just his nose is broken. All the boy's teeth are pretty much broken, and the boy's just screeching and squealing and trying to push him off. But the man is just much, much bigger than him.
Then I will, with my orchid bellow, just say, "Halt!"
And the sort of the crowd at this point kind of scatter as they sort of hear the loud kind of voice and the authority. The man kind of does one last punch the boy, just knocking him out, and turns to look at you and kind of stands up and squares his shoulders and kind of steps slightly too close to you in a kind of menacing way and says, "Yeah, what?
What's this about?" I ask.
And he says, "Well, I don't think that's any of your business." And he kind of steps right up to your face now, kind of probably an inch between you.
Okay. Well, that's it. That's enough for me. I want to do an attack in like a vice grip to the throat, and lift him up.
Nice. We'll make opposed grapple checks then. So that would be your athletics.
Okay.
So your rolls higher. Oh.
Athletics. I got, and that's die 20 plus my bonus.
Plus your athletics, yeah, which will be your strength plus your proficiency if you're proficient.
Okay. The proficiency is strength, and I have some other bonus that's added to it. Anyways, it's total of +5. Roll the 15, a 20.
Yeah, nice. He rolled a natural 1, so yeah, you can pick him up and raise him right above your head if you want to.
and squeeze on the neck to kind of cut the blood flow, everything.
Yeah, absolutely. You see him begin to go purple, and he starts like pulling his, scrabbling at your hand, but there's no way he can break your grip.
Yeah. Okay. And I ease off just a touch so he could speak, even if it's in a croak, and say,
"Yeah,
now."
And he just he kind of goes, I'm sorry, and kind of just tries to choke out the words.
Okay, well, he's not going to be able to talk like this, so I find the nearest wall and slam him up against it. A throw against the wall.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and he just crumples to the floor. And as he sort of lands, you hear a "What the hell is going on?" behind you in a familiar voice of Slab.
And I turn to Slab and I say, this worthless filth here is sitting there and destroying your investment here. You just pummeled this kid, and it's just a kid.
And you see Slab walking down. He's got his wife with him, and she's also an orc. And sort of, while what Slab sort of has in strength, anger, and authority, his wife has in sort of, I mean, you know, you probably wouldn't want to fight her either, but she is sort of much more intelligent and sort of whispers in his ear and gives him advice. There's a picture of her, and called Urga, and she's kind of standing with his shoulder, and they both have their arms crossed.
Torgrum's interested. And what's her name?
Urga.
Urga?
Yeah, and he kind of walks towards you and says, "So he was pummeling a boy, was he? Well, if you look at him and you look at this boy, who do you think is a better investment for me?"
I just see it as a total waste and an injustice.
And he laughs and he says, "Justice. Ah, justice. You were on Grevda. Justice is dead."
Well,
and he'll just kind of,
I'll because he is the boss. Even though I'm regretting taking this job, you know, myself, I say, well, allow me to see if there's anything to salvage here and tend to the boy, or at least take him where he can be mended. If nothing else, he could at least be of water or something if he can't be a miner anymore.
And you see him sort of consider for a second. He looks at his wife, and she nods. And he says, "All right, fine, go." And he'll go over, as you sort of go to leave, he'll go over to the man that you were just wailing on, and pick him up, and then shout to the mine. He says, "If anyone else gets caught fighting in my mine," and then he just snaps the man's neck with his bare hands and just throws him down a mine shaft.
Oh.
At this point,
that would even make me take pause. Yes, no doubt.
Yeah, and all the other miners kind of freeze for a second, and he says, "Get back to work!" And the sound just kind of rings around the mine, and you see them all furiously, you know, using their pickaxes. And at this point, you hear like a smash and a crumbling sound, and everyone sort of looks around, and it seems one of the miners' pickaxes has gone like right through the wall. And as he pulls it out, the wall kind of crumbles away, and it reveals sort of a hidden tunnel, a kind of passage from behind. And everyone sort of, and he kind of turns around and sort of, you know, shrugs his shoulders and looks at, he looks at Slab and says, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know what happened. And Slab's about to open his mouth when his wife kind of interrupts him and says, "Oh, what have we here?" And she kind of sort of walks over and kind of steps into the tunnel and sort of has a look around. And she's like, "Fascinating." And you hear her kind of talking, and you hear Slab say, you know, directing the miner to go off elsewhere and mine somewhere else, you know, while his wife's having a search.
And while he's doing that, I snap my fingers at him, point to the kid, and say, "Take him to the doctor."
Yeah, and Slab sees this and sort of nods and says, "Yeah, good idea." And yeah, the miner will take him up, and she starts wandering down the tunnel, and Slab kind of calls after her to be careful, and you know, she says, "Yeah, whatever." And then a couple of moments go by, and then all of a sudden from the tunnel you just hear, what, ah, ah! And she just begins screaming, and then all of a sudden the screaming just goes silent, and you see Slab like visibly become fearful, and he says, you with me, to you, and he just takes off into the tunnel.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is what greets you when you enter the tunnel. You see running towards you a small sort of goblin kobold looking creature, and it just lunges at Slab and just starts biting into his neck and nibbling at him and scratching at him. It's furious. You see it's got these big white, pink and black eyes, and it's very clearly almost completely blind, and it's making this hideous scratching noise and just or screeching noise and scratching his back, drawing blood, and you see Slab just struggling, but he can't quite reach to it. What would you like to do?
Now, I wrote it down, but Striker does, because I've forgotten.
What does? Sorry. The Striker. It's like a knuckle duster. But
Yeah.
it also electrocutes the target. It does a D4 bludgeoning and a D4 lightning.
Lightning. Right. Well, I'm gonna grab my Striker out of my pocket and punch this thing in the back. Well, no, I see it has thorns. I'll try to punch this thing where there's less thorns, but I'll try to punch this thing.
Yeah. And so you just kind of punch it. And make an attack roll for me, would you please?
That.
So that'll be a D20 plus your strength plus your proficiency bonus, which will be 2 at your level.
Right. $16 plus 5, so it's 21.
Easy. Yep. You just punch this thing, and the Striker goes off, and bzz, as the thing happens, why don't you roll me your damage?
Okay, let's see. D4 twice. One for the bludgeon and one for the lightning. A 3 and a 2, 5 total.
Nice. So you don't kill this thing, but it goes flying against the wall and screeches and skitters off before you can do anything. You see that Slab's back is covered in this black ichor, which was being secreted from the creature's mouth. And you see him sort of begin to sort of struggle with breathing, and kind of he sort of sits down and kind of rubs his head and says, "Oh, I don't feel well. Oh, I think I might." Oh. And he like throws up just this bile, this black bile everywhere, all over himself. And then he just kind of lies against back against the wall, his eyes closed. He's still alive, but he's just, his breathing's ragged.
Right. Wait here. I'll see you on Urga. I tell him, and look for Urga.
And as you go ahead, you hear him very faintly say, "No, wait," and then just pass out.
Okay.
As you continue on, you enter a sort of larger chamber. There are piles of this kind of bile on the floor, these puddles, and it's sort of lit by these weird sort of glowing kind of crystals. And it's this big kind of square room with this kind of weird acid lying around. You see that there's another sort of entrance off to the other side. And you can hear the skittering, and it sounds like rats, with the skittering and this sort of squeaking, screeching sound that that creature made.
Well, I have my let's see. I got my striker on, and I'm grabbing my javelin for missile fire. I guess that way, if I can hit one before it gets to me,
Yeah,
I'd like to be able to do that.
yeah, definitely. So as you continue into the room, you sort of hear it. And it seems to be in front of you, but then you can sort of hear it moving behind you. But then there's still a sound in front of you, and it sort of seems like it's coming from all directions at once.
Okay. So then I will do, as I'm walking in and looking for Urga, I'm going to do that walk where it's kind of like you take a step with your left foot and you look to the right, then you take a step with your right that meets your left to right, and then you take a step with your right foot and you look to the left, and you then back with your left foot side by side, looking both ways, and just slowly doing that all the way into this chamber.
Yeah, and as you look to your left one time, you do see one of these creatures, but it sees you see it and sort of skitters off behind a rock.
Okay, all right. Skittering off is fine.
You hear this sort of skittering and screeching kind of get louder and louder and louder as you get to the center of the room. And all of a sudden you hear this kind of extremely loud screech behind you. And as you turn, you see one just hurling itself towards you. You can make an attack before we roll initiative if you wish.
Right, I'm going to throw that javelin and try to hit it in midair.
Yeah.
My dexterity is +1.
So you'll have your +1 and then a proficiency bonus as well.
Right, which is it's here somewhere. Yeah, all weapons +2, so it's +3. Yeah. Wow, 19 +3.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you just spear this thing straight through the middle. Yeah, give me a damage roll then, please.
Right. Let's see. 6 + 1. 6 + 1, 7.
Nice. Yeah, you see this thing just go limp. It is still breathing, but it's as near as dead, makes no difference kind of thing. And it is just lying there, sort of completely, impaled on this.
Nice. Like that.
Javelin just bleeding out. Yeah. And you hear two more screeches coming from all directions. So at this point, we'll roll initiative.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. That's a die 10?
No, D20.
Oh, it is D20. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Boy. That's bad. A 4. Oh, crap.
Oh, no. Yeah. So you hear these screeching, and as you turn around, one is just flying through the air straight towards your face. So
armor class 14.
Yeah. It only rolls a was it 5 to hit?
The 5 to hit.
And so yeah, it only rolled a 5 to hit. So as it kind of lunges towards you, sidestep. But as you sidestep into the path of another one that is running towards you, and this time rolls a 17. And it just lands kind of on your shoulder and just bites down straight into your clavicle. You only take one point of damage, but I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Constitution saving throw. Okay. 15 + 3, 18.
Okay, you pass, and you feel this poison kind of seep into your veins, and you begin to sort of feel weak and woozy. But you sort of shake it off and prepare yourself for another barrage. Another one comes and bites into your leg for a 13 to hit, which I believe misses.
Yeah, armor class 14. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so as it kind of comes in, you just are able to sort of it bites straight into the sort of the sort of thick part of your boot, and you take no damage as its teeth can't reach you. But you see the this black bile just seeping out all over the top of your boot. It is now your turn. There is one behind you, one on your back, and one in front of you.
Oh, okay. Well, is the one in front of me the one I impaled?
No, the one you impaled is just lying kind of off to one side.
Oh, okay. So there's 3 others attacking me. Okay, very good then. Okay, well, my attack then is going to be it's kind of like a dual purpose thing, and it's really an attack to just get them off of me. So the one on my shoulder, I'm going to grab with both hands, take it off, and throw it at the one in front of me to kind of get them to both to be tumbled around and maybe lose an action or lose an initiative. One I'm just going to kick at with my foot, and just get it away. Yeah. It may not lose initiative for that, but at the same time, at least it's not biting at me right at the moment.
Okay. So firstly, I'll give you inspiration for the using one as a weapon against the other, because that's an awesome idea. So inspiration is a point you get near the top of your character sheet, and
all right,
you can choose to spend that to give yourself advantage on a roll. So you can roll it, and if it's an important roll or whatever, and you want to do better, you can sort of say, I'll use my inspiration, and you get a re-roll.
Okay. All right.
But obviously.
So that would be a strength roll.
Yeah, so I'll take an opposed grapple.
Would it be a dexterity roll to actually hit this thing?
Well, I'll take an opposed grapple for you to grab it, and then a strength check to hurl it. Just keep it simple. So.
Okay. So the grapple is a 13.
As you go to grab it, it just sees your hand coming and darts off. It jumps off you out of the way, and you fail the grapple, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Which does use your action. So you can kind of.
I'm sorry. It does what there, Rob?
It uses your action to attempt to grapple.
Right.
You can't make an attack, but I'll let you sort of
flick off
your bonus actions.
I can still flick that other one off my boot.
Yeah, I'll give you that, just because it's sort of a fairly mundane action.
Right. Okay. And I guess.
Would you like to move at all?
Huh?
Would you like to move at all?
Yeah, I think since they're blocking the way I came in is what it sounds like. The one that I impaled, and now the one that's in front of me, because I'm facing back the way I came, because you said that one was behind me.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to turn and bolt further in where I'm seeing a lot of this material and stuff like that. Maybe things I can pick up and throw or anything, but I do have my axe. So basically, my move is to run and grabbing my great axe at the same time.
Nice. Yeah, and so as you sort of get out of the way, these things are all behind you now, and it is their action. So they are just gonna. They seem almost maddened. They're just gonna come flying at you, screeching. So that's gonna be a 14, a 15, and a 19 all to hit. So your armor class is 14, so they all hit.
They all hit?
Yeah, that's brutal. Wow. So you're going to take 6 points of piercing damage in total, and I need you to make 2 Constitution saving throws, please.
15 and 17, sir.
Nice.
Yep, 15 and 17.
Yeah, yet again, you feel the poison kind of being thrown about, but none of it enters your system, and you're able to just sort of escape with the very minor piercing damage. as these things attack. Your turn again.
Okay, so I have my axe in hand, and let's see. Yep, time to go into my Berserker Rage.
Nice.
Which is an advantage on strength checks, saves, +2 rage damage, resists bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing. I'd say that would include biting.
Yeah. So the bite is doing piercing damage, so you'd resist that. Yep.
Yep.
Nice. And that's your bonus action, so you can still make your attack.
Okay. So, 12 plus 5, 17.
Yep, that hits one of them.
Okay. Do I get 2 attacks or no? Or do I get 3 for every 2? Or how does that work? And
at second level, you only have 1 attack.
okay, still on third level,
yeah.
I get that.
I think it's
3 every 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
You only have 1 at second level.
So, Sir Great Axe does 7 plus 3, 10 points of damage.
Yeah, you just swing your axe through in a kind of low arc and just decapitate one of these things, and it just
Nice.
its head just goes sailing, and this black bile just begins seeping out of it as it kind of just falls to the ground. The other 2 of these kind of rat kobold things just dart to one side and continue their barrage of brutal attacks.
Wow. They must have the morale. They must have the morale of undead.
Yeah, they're pretty much insane, rabid beasts who only want to see blood. That's going to be a 15 and a 12, so 1 hit.
Okay.
For 4 points of piercing damage, halved to 2, so you only take 2. And I'll need a Constitution saving throw, please, from you.
16.
Jeez, you are nailing these con saves.
I'm glad I'm saving so well on this poison. Woo!
Yeah, because this poison is not fun. It is not fun.
Wow.
Yeah. So as
I'm saying.
Yeah, you're nailing these con saves. So yeah, as these, you basically have split one of their comrades in half. The other 2 pay no attention and just continue their kind of rabid attacks at you. One of them kind of lunges and you sidestep, but the other one just sinks its teeth into your shin. Okay. But you're able to sort of move your leg out the way before it can inject the poison into you. Okay. Your turn again.
Then doing that low swing.
Yeah.
12 plus 5 again, 17. Wow.
Yeah, easy.
2 12s in a row. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically, this one I just split in half.
What was the damage on that, sorry?
Wow. 11 plus 3, 14.
Yeah, again. This time you kind of swing it just down in this sort of overhead arc and just split him from the top of his head down just through between his legs, and he just peels kind of apart in the middle.
Right. Basically, it's just his tail and his balls holding him together, huh?
Pretty much. And he just kind of collapses. The other one kind of looks around and notices his dead friends, but just continues to sort of circle you. And you're sort of staring at it before it lunges. Oh, natural 19. So that's going to be a 22 to hit.
Wow.
You only take 1 point of piercing damage, though. But I do need another Constitution save.
13 plus 5, 18.
Nice, yeah. And these things are just kind of unable to get purchase on you enough to inject their poison still. You're just this whirling, kind of swinging death machine to them, essentially.
Well, in my rage and my fury.
Yeah, exactly. Your turn.
How about 18 plus 5?
Yep.
23.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Wow. I hope I do like this good with my confrontation against Slab or something. If it comes to that. I think he's going to be pissed that I went after his wife and that didn't take care of him. I'm thinking in the back of my head. But damn it, I'm half human, and it's about the lady.
Damage on that, then?
Oh, damage on that, right. Oh, 3 plus 5, 8.
Yeah, again, this last one, just you shake it off your leg and just straight cut through it, embedding your axe in it, and it just lets out a sort of little whine as it dies. And your rage kind of wears off, and you sort of calm yourself down, and you're just surrounded by bits of tiny rat kobold monster, and this black bile is everywhere.
Okay.
And yeah, so you're left alone in this room. There is one entrance to the north, and the entrance you came from to the south.
All right. Well,
the room.
I mean, because Urga had disappeared in this tunnel, right? She screamed and then was gone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, after looking around this room and seeing there's nothing but these dead rat kobold things and a bunch of rubble and crap like that, I'm just going to head for that north entrance to see if that's where she went or was taken.
Yeah, awesome.
Ooh.
And
sorry, I just saw a red-tailed hawk fly by.
Oh wow, that's amazing. As you continue, you walk into it. Kind of shrinks down into a tunnel, and you sort of have to duck, and then it sort of opens into a smaller room.
Okay.
As soon as you enter the smaller room, you begin to hear this kind of rumbling, and you sort of look around, and then you look up, and you see these rocks just falling from the ceiling. I'm going to need to have a dex save from you. You do have advantage, though, because of your barbarian danger sense.
Right. Let's see. Okay.
So roll twice and take the higher one.
Oh, boy. I'm glad you said that. Especially when the first roll was a 3.
Yeah.
The second roll was a 12 plus 1, 13.
Oh, 13 is what you needed. So
wow.
These rocks just fall, and so you only take 1 point of damage as just a couple of pebbles sort of land on your head, and doesn't cause any serious damage, but hurts quite a bit. And as you sort of get past that, you're kind of panting, and you're just sort of Indiana Jones your way through this tunnel. You kind of look up and you see that there was all these kind of more of these small rat kind of monsters, and they're sort of just waiting, looking, and they're all holding rocks. So they were clearly sort of throwing them over at you, and it seems almost like they're kind of organized and talking to one another. Not that you speak whatever guttural language they speak, but you can continue going north.
Picture of what these things look like, or
pardon? Yeah, it's the picture from earlier. Let me just. That one. There they are.
It's they're throwing, and they were throwing the rocks.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so as you continue on, you begin to hear sort of louder noises of squeaking and screeching and clawing and, horrific noises. And you see this weird kind of blue glowing light coming from the chamber ahead of you.
Okay. Do I see Urga at this time at all or not?
You can't actually see into the chamber because it kind of goes around a corner.
Got you.
But you can see that there's blue light coming from the chamber.
Okay. I will peer around the corner and see what there is to see.
So as you look around the corner, you see the room's pretty long. It's probably about 60 feet.
Okay.
And there are probably 10 or 15 of these things in the room, just sort of wandering about, sort of, spinning and looking around, acting kind of dozy. At the far end, you see a kind of stone table and a woman strapped to it, clearly Urga, but standing above her, chanting, you see this sort of black, more traditional looking kobold, bedecked in all kind of skulls and feathers and that sort of thing. This kobold is kind of lighting incense and chanting and sort of throwing herbs around and sort of almost singing. And the others appear to be half joining in, half sort of, doped out on whatever incense they're sniffing. As you see that the kobold pulls from his belt an extremely long and wicked-looking knife and begins sort of cutting through the air with it, standing pretty much on the chest of Urga at this point, kind of singing at the far end of the room.
God. How many of these things are there that are in a trance?
Probably 10 to 15.
Oh, good Lord.
About 13.
Holy shit. All right. Well, I came here to do this. How long does my rage last?
It lasts a minute, I think.
Oh, okay, it's over.
But yeah, it'll be over. But you can, I think you have 2 rages, 2 or 3 at your level, so you can just go into another one.
Yeah, I think it's 2. Plus, I still have reckless attack as a last resort, I guess. Well, I'm just gonna bolt through them all, run at this thing headlong. No warrior cry, no anything. Just silent fury.
And
coming at this priest.
As you're about to begin running, you hear a sound coming from behind you. Sort of large creature. It sounds like sort of breathing heavily, grunting, and almost roaring. It's sort of, you hear these massive heavy footfalls as it seems to be sort of coming right up from behind you.
I can only hope I can outrun it. I'm committed to running at this high priest, this witch doctor high priest.
So as you begin running, then you look back and you see the creature emerge, but it's one you recognize. It's Slab. He's returned. He's clutching his neck with one hand, grunting and screaming, but in the other hand he has Slab's famous shotgun, which you would know is a large kind of laser shotgun that he had someone attach a massive axe blade to the front of, almost like a bayonet, but a huge one. And he just enters the room, screams, sees you running, and just starts running after you. Not menacingly, but as he's running, he's just firing into the kobolds. And we'll roll initiative.
Okay. Okay. 14 plus 1, 15.
Nice. Yeah, you're up first, Torgrum.
So I go first?
Yeah.
Am I up to the Witch Doctor High Priest?
Not quite yet. You're only about 20 feet into the room at this point, and so you've probably got another 40 feet of travel to get there first.
All right. Well, are there any of these things? Are there any of these things trying to get in my way?
They are trying, but not very well. But yeah, they are definitely trying to stop you.
Well,
and
I'll leave those for Slab since he's already thrashing into them, and I'm going to keep on running. That's how I'm going to use my initiative to get that extra burst of steam going and get there.
Yeah, so you can you can just dash or you can just run, but you won't quite get there with your movement speed. So you can use your action to dash, which means you won't be able to attack, but you'll be able to use double your movement to get there.
Okay, I'll do that. That's
sure.
Dexterity check?
No, you can just do it, but you don't get any action on your turn.
Oh, very good.
So you run up, and just as you get there, you kind of look back and see on Slab's turn, he is running after you, and as he goes, he's just firing at the kobolds pretty much point blank. One of them sort of gets in his way and he just boots it. It goes flying, and he just shouts, "Get her!" The kobold doing the ritual sees you and screeches, like barks an order, and you see all the kind of dopey kobolds just suddenly snap out of it and just become this ravenous, rage-filled monsters again as they begin just tailing after you. The black kobold standing on top of Urga jumps from the table and attempts to insert his knife into your neck.
Okay.
But the jump is a bit far for it, and you can easily just sidestep and push it to one side, and it kind of lands and rolls and hisses at you. A few of the other kobolds. Yeah. You see Slab as he runs, 3 kobolds just launch themselves and begin biting into them. And he keeps running, trying to throw them off, but they're sort of weighing him down, and he kind of falls to one knee. But he gets up and keeps running for now.
Okay.
3 of them come from behind the table and all attempt to latch onto you.
Okay.
That's a 14, a 19, and a 12. So that's 2 hits there. For 7 points of damage, half to 3. But I will need 1 Constitution saving throw.
Let's see, 19.
Yep. Again, the poison is going everywhere but into you.
Wow.
And it's your turn again, Torgrum.
All right. Well, I know they're after me, but am I close enough to this witch doctor to kill it?
Yeah, you're close enough to attempt to.
That's what I'm doing. Oh, plus 3, 15.
15 hits.
Wow. All right. With plus 3, 12 points of damage.
You cut into this thing, and you see its scratches kind of along its chest. It begins just bleeding this black bile, but remains standing for now and just begins hissing more orders. Slab runs up, kind of pushes you out the way, just covered in these kobolds, and he's about to get to the table when he just falls flat on his face, and the kobolds just begin like biting into his arms and shoulders. As you however, as he's lying there, he grabs one of them. He's dropped his shotgun. He places his hand kind of in its mouth and just pulls the top of its head off. You know, like, he is immensely strong and just screams and just begins bashing at the other ones. the witch doctor kobold pulls out a small kind of flask and just throws it at your feet. I'm going to need a Constitution saving. Actually, no, sorry, it's a Dexterity saving throw for that one.
Okay. 16 plus 1, 17.
Okay, so you see this kind of almost looks like paprika sort of spurt up from it, and Kobold bangs its stick on the ground, and it creates a spark that just lights this gas. You only take 5 points of damage from it, as it just kind of singes you, but you're able to sort of dive out the way, and it kind of skirts around to the other side of this stone table. Urga just begins to come to, and she's kind of groaning. But the two smaller white things come at you again. That's a natural 1 for one, and a 18 for the other. 3 points of damage, half to 1, but I do need another con save.
Let's see. 11 plus 3, 14.
Finally. Yeah, so this one does what none of the others could, and embeds its teeth into you, and you feel the poison just burn up through your leg. So random 6, so that'll be your okay. So you take an additional 1 point of poison damage, and your Constitution score. Because I rolled a 3. Yeah, your Constitution score decreases by 1 point temporarily. This will last for 1 day, and then it comes back to normal after that.
Okay. All right. Attack this thing again.
Yeah, so you'll have to skirt around the stone table to do so, because you moved around, but that's mundane. You can easily do that.
Oh, he jumped behind the table to throw that flask?
He threw the flask, then kind of scampered around the table afterwards.
All right. Well, in my rage, I'll do a flying leap and try to bring the axe down on its head. In other words, leaping the altar and everything and bringing the axe down on its head.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right. An 18 plus 3, 21.
Yeah, nice. I won't even make you roll because you only have 1 hit point left. So you leap the table and just split his skull in half. And this thing just screeches and falls down dead.
All right. How does this affect the rest of these guys?
The rest of them begin screaming and kind of running around frantically. Though some of them do still attack you. Most of the others just run off, but there's about 4 left attacking you and Slab.
So
Speaking
like
of which,
2 apiece or 2 on. I mean, 1
yeah,
on.
it's pretty much 2 apiece, yeah. And
Okay.
Slab stands up, takes his shotgun, and he crits and just explodes the head of one of these beasts.
Nice.
With the shotgun. And just screaming, Urga! The kobolds, you hear this click from above, and you look up, and you see 2 kobolds up kind of on a ledge above you, probably about 15, 20 feet up. And they have these kind of ballista crossbows mounted, and they begin firing. But they too look extremely drugged, and both miss you by a country mile, as we say.
Okay. Well,
yeah, it's your turn again.
I grab Urga off the altar, throw her over my shoulder.
Well, Urga is chained down. With like
chained down.
Yeah.
Okay. Laser pistol and try to blast these chains, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay. What do I? Oh, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I will.
How many?
I think I'll just say.
I still only get one attack though, even with the pistol, right?
Yeah, I will say, like you will only get one attack, but because you're doing it quickly and it's just chain. I'll say you'll be able to get 2 of the chains off. So there's 2 on her legs, 2 on her arms. So we'll say you got her legs free.
Right.
But she's still only just coming to consciousness.
Okay. And then I'll call out the slab and say, the chains, because he's on the other side of the altar, and obviously that means he's also closer to her head than I am. So.
Yeah, and you see, he looks like he's in just as much of a rage as you are, and he basically doesn't even register what you're saying, as he just grabs another kobold and just cuts its head off with his kind of axe shotgun, and just spins around, looking at the other 2, and begins running towards them. The kobold ballistas fire again. 1 hits you. For 4 points of damage, half to 2, and the other one hits him for 4 points of damage, half to 2. As these just fairly thick bolts, they're probably a good 1.5 inches thick, but they're not that sharp, and so they kind of hit you and bounce off, almost dealing more bludgeoning than piercing damage. They're thick.
Yeah, I'd say it sounds like more of a bludgeoning tool than a piercing.
Yeah, they are pointed and they do kind of break the skin, but it is more like being punched.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. All right. And I'm going to try to get to these other 2 chains while Slab's fury is all against these last 2 that are around the altar. I'm going to let him take care of those and try to get that so we can drag Urga off and maybe actually use the altar for shelter, kind of dive behind it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
So I rolled a 15. I figured that's a dex thing. That's 16 actions.
Yeah, okay. So you can kind of are you going to shoot off the other 2 chains?
Yeah.
Okay, well that will be the action in and of itself, but I'll say that you can use your movement to kind of pull her down behind the altar with you.
Okay.
You see Slab just cut the heads off the other 2 creatures down below you, and then he turns around and fires his shotgun kind of up at the ones attacking from above, but they're a bit far away, and one of them kind of is able to duck, but the other one kind of gets hit and falls down. He's not dead, but he sort of lands with a thud on the ground, and his crossbow sort of skitters away, and Slab goes in pursuit. But before he can, the kobold kind of rights himself, and it rolled a natural 20 to hit Slab.
Oh God!
So Slab takes 3 points of damage from it because it's halved, but it's doubled, so it's just what it rolls on the dice, And the other one fires down at you, but you have cover. So yeah, so it fires down at you, but completely misses, just bouncing off the stone table.
All right.
What would you like to do then?
With my pistol, I'll shoot up at one of them. 13, but 14.
14 misses. I'm afraid they have cover.
Right. I figured, but that's what I rolled.
Yep. Yeah. So he's kind of behind the sort of rocky sort of shield part, and he's able to sort of duck out the way. And you see kind of Slab calm down a bit, and he starts kind of looking around. He's very bloody and covered in this black bar. He says, "Quick, we have to get her out of here."
All right.
Just run. And he grabs her off you, and she kind of is able to stand at this point. She's just shouts, "Run!" And they both just take off towards the door.
And I guess I will follow behind, but I will do it where it's kind of like run, turn around, do just random blaster fire, them ducking and all that while we run out.
And from behind you,
I'm just trying to get them to keep ducking.
Yeah, and from behind you, you hear screeching as you look behind, and the stone table, the top, begins sliding off of it as you run away, and it opens kind of like a box, and coming from out of it are what looks to you like hundreds more of these things just running after you.
Yeah, all right.
Screeching.
We're hauling ass.
And
we can.
Yeah, as you run through, you kind of run through the other door. These things are behind you, and Slab just fires a shotgun into the ceiling of the tunnel, which just causes the rocks to crumble down in front of you, and you kind of blocks up the passageway, and you hear these things just scrabbling and scratching at the inside, kind of trying to sort of get through. And he says, "Quick, we've got just enough time. We can go." And he begins walking out towards the entrance.
All right, I'm following behind. Should I get the other miners out and close this mine up, or what?
The mine stays open. We'll just deal with these things. We'll come back with more guns. And I'd like you to make a wisdom check, please.
Okay. Wow. And +1, 18 + 1, 19.
Nice. So you get to the room where the rocks fell on you again, and you remember seeing all the creatures above just before you get in there. He threw the rocks down on you. Just saying you remember it rather than forget about it before you go in there. And Slab begins walking into that room.
And he's already heading into that room?
Yeah.
I tell him, wait, please.
And he just turns and says, yes.
Let me check. Last time I came through here, things throwing rocks down on me. Let's see if they're still there. Let me see if they're still there. And so I get past him and peer into the room and look up all around the edges of this.
I'll take a perception check then, please.
That's intelligence, correct?
Yeah. No, sorry, perception's wisdom.
Oh, perception is wisdom. Oh, well, that's still not going to help much because I rolled a 4.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, nothing there.
Nothing there as far as we can tell.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just tell him, use caution, be aware, and start heading through that room.
Yep, you get through the room fine. Okay. And they come after you. And the marching order is kind of you, Slab, and then Urga. And you just clear the room when from behind you you hear just like a kind of dull whomp. And you and Slab both turn, and you see Urga standing in front of you, but with one of those very thick crossbow bolts just coming out the front of her chest. The kobold thing rolled a natural 20 on its stealth check to hide behind you, and you see him kind of standing up at the top with his crossbow, and this look of just glee and bloodlust on its face as Urga just falls to her knees and then falls down the mine shaft to kind of, it's almost like a bridge in that room, and she kind of falls down the hole.
Oh,
and you just see Slab just scream, no, and just kind of dive after her. But obviously he doesn't dive down the hole, but he tries to grab her for her, but he misses.
Well,
you see the kobold vigorously winding his crossbow into fire again.
right. And I'll raise my laser pistol and shoot at him.
Go for it.
Natural 20.
Yes.
Finally, +3, 23.
Yeah. Give me some damage.
I only usually get those about one every other session, so.
Yeah.
Let's see. 4 + 1, 5. Doubled.
Yeah. You you see this thing open its mouth to screech, and you just put a blaster bolt through the back of its mouth. It just lets out this sigh and just falls down with its crossbow. Kind of bounces off the bridge on its way down and falls down the same hole that Urga went down.
All right.
You see Slab turn around. He's shaking, and he just turns to look at you, stands up, kind of just as tall as you, and says, "This is your fault." And he just stands there, just shaking, and he says, "Get out and don't come back." And
okay.
And he just sits there at the edge of the like with his feet dangling down the hole, just sitting, kind of holding his head in his hands, and says, and then just screams, "You get out!"
Well, I'll take my cue. I'll holster my laser pistol. I'll strap my axe back on my back, and I still have my striker in my hand, and around my knuckles and all that, and I'll just start doing not really running because I'm not afraid, but do definitely a long stride, a quick walk, long stride type of thing.
Yeah, and as you get out into the sort of the light of day, the burning sun, you realize kind of how hot you were, and you see
how hurt I was.
Yeah. And you see oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I said how hurt I was. I've been counting my hit points, and I might need to see the medic just long enough to make plans and see what I can do for an escape off the planet.
Yeah, and as you come out, you sort of go, and you see all these all of Slab's kind of main guard sort of running down into the mine where you just came from, and you walk to the kind of main area, and kind of grab some water, and as the one of Slad's kind of aides is tending to your wounds because they don't really know that you've been fired yet.
Right.
She's sort of patching you up, and you see this sort of small halfling man, and he kind of he sort of walks up to you. He's wearing sort of very fine clothes, kind of sweating. He's wearing sort of business garb, sort of a suit kind of thing, but it's a bit looser for this. And he's wearing this kind of top hat, and he comes up and he sees you, and he sort of looks both ways and sort of starts walking towards you, and he approaches you and he says, "Oh, hello, sir." And you can see his face, and he walks with a limp, and he's using a cane, and you see his face is covered in bruises and scratches, like he's just been in a fight. Says, "Hello, sir. My name is Fei Li, and well, you strike me as well, a big, strong fellow, and I think I might have a job that suit you down to the ground. It's well, I made a new friend recently. He's a small engineering sort of fellow, pretty handy in a fight, but I see that he'll get himself into a fair amount of trouble. And well, he's recently acquired a ship, and is looking for some partners to help him. And I owe him a great deal. And I said I would look for suitable people for him. And I heard about what you did down there with the fight. And well, it's not that often you meet good, upstanding fellows. So I'm wondering if you'd be interested in a job, a legitimate, fairly simple, not too strenuous, I hope, job.
And, well, I'm getting swabbed down, bandaged, healed up a little bit. How many? By the way, how many hit points would I get back at with this attention?
Yeah, I'll say you'll get 8 hit points back for now, and okay. You know, more with some rest.
Boy, that'll help a bunch.
Yeah.
I was down there only having 7 hit points left before death.
Yeah, nice. Jeez.
So, yeah, that balances things out a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, let me grab the rest of my gear, and I'll be right with you. And so
yeah.
I'll go.
And so as you go to
my tent camp or whatever it is that I stay at, and I'll just grab my stuff and anything left that leave whatever incidental, non-necessarily necessary junk behind, and follow this halfling to wherever he's leading at the moment.
Yeah, and as you go, he's just kind of chatting at you, and he says, "Well, the job I have will involve you being the partner of a friend of mine. I think he has a couple of other people inclined. I think there's 4 of you in total, and well, he got me out of a pretty tricky situation, and so the job will start on Loira, and you'll mainly be doing shipping. In fact, I'll show you the picture of the ship, because part of this is you'll get to own a quarter of the ship, as it were." He sort of laughs to himself, and he pulls out sort of iPad-looking type thing, you know, sort of screen, and he says, and he shows you this, and he says, "Here's just in dock yesterday. It's just being fixed up. It's called the Redmoth, you know. It's fairly old, but it's well designed. Those things last for ages."
Yeah, I look at the vessel and I go, I just kind of shake my head and mumble to myself, "Just another junker."
And then he says,
but then I look at the man and say, "Lead on, lead on."
Yeah, and he says, "I thought you'd think that. But this baby has a few tricks up her sleeve," and he presses another button, and it shows you another picture, which is the Redmoth with the enormous kind of ball cannon hanging out the bottom that was specifically put there at your request. And he says, "Now, what do you think?"
Well, it's a junker with teeth.
And that, I think, is the perfect quote to end the night on.